Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another free real estate advice Friday. This is episode number 47. We're going to talk a little bit about selling your home. Um, I've talked about this a little bit in the past. I think it's getting more and more important as a topic to talk about, um, mostly because the market is changing. Obviously, I checked 30-year mortgage rates prior to the call. We're pretty much cresting 7% at this point. My lenders have told me that they think it's going to go down in the coming months. Obviously, that's all speculation. I mean, I'll take the speculation from an expert. Um, but currently, as we sit here today, they're around 7%. Not ideal if you're a buyer. Obviously, that's going to affect your buying power. It's going to affect your interest expense over the life of the loan. And that's why last week we had Joe and Jeff from Movement Mortgage on here to talk a little bit about buying points, because I think that conversation has gotten more important than ever. And it's a subject that I think a lot of people just don't understand. So if you didn't have a chance, take a look back at that episode. I think they always do a great job of explaining it and making it palatable for those of us who are not mortgage experts. I probably know more than your layperson, but I definitely know less than the lenders. And I thought it was a great conversation. Obviously, purchasing points can save you tens of thousands of dollars over the life of the loan, sometimes more, depending on what you're doing. So if you didn't get a chance, take a look back at that last episode. You can see it on YouTube or Facebook, my Facebook pages. Um, but they definitely made it clear that that's a good strategy to save money. It's not a money making ploy by the bank or any of the other talking points that we hear a lot on points. They also talked a little bit about our purchase power program, which applies really to two people that want to become a cash buyer, but obviously don't have the cash, and people that need to sell a home before they can purchase. There's a way that you can remove that contingency as part of the process. So two great programs. Movement Mortgage is great. I've worked with them before. They have a lot of really unique programs. I think sometimes if you go with your bigger banks, you don't have access to a lot of those programs. So check that out if you get a chance. So I want to talk a little bit about selling your home. It's the market is interesting. It's easy to say the market is down because of the interest rate situation, but I'm here to tell you that because the inventory is also so dreadfully low, we're still seeing multiple offers on everything. I had a listing that went live last Sunday. We had an accepted offer in about 8 hours. That was a all cash offer, way over asking price. And at that open house that we ran on Sunday, I had about 30 groups through. And we had about 7 showings other than the open house. So 37 people saw that house in the span of about 24 hours. And we had 2 offers. The offers were very good. We got them very quickly. So we immediately shut it down, accepted one of the offers. And pretty soon we are going to be under contract. So this was a 55 plus too. So the only reason I point that out is, you don't necessarily, obviously it's a smaller target audience on that listing. So we don't necessarily expect that it would have the same sort of audience that a regular, conventional home would have. So seeing as we had, as I said, 36, 37 groups that were viewing that house in 24 hours, accepted offer in 8 hours, so this market is still plenty robust. So if you think you are in the market or you need to sell a home, let me know and I can give you some more specifics. Obviously, every situation is very different. But yeah, I mean, market's still chugging along. It's definitely a little more challenging on the agent side. We are losing a lot of agents because people are just kind of tired of trying to navigate these waters. But the caution I want to throw out there, part of today's talk about selling your home is, being very careful about who you select to help you in this process. We've had a lot of issues lately, and I think most agents and attorneys would tell you that over the last few years, deals have just gotten harder. I think up front, a lot of that was because the prices were so high. So people were paying a lot for a home, and then they were just being a little bit harder on inspections and everything else, trying to as I always say, consciously or subconsciously get some of that money back when they know they're paying top dollar, and then they find out the house has some issues. Could be a little bit of buyer's remorse at play. It could be a lot of things, but the deals just have gotten harder. There's also, over history, I mean, over the past, say, decade and a half, um, buyers have just gotten more savvy, and there's a lot of challenges. Lenders have gotten more savvy. I just told you about a lender that uses unique programs, but there's a ton of programs out there. Some of them are good and some of them are not so good. And if you're a listing agent these days, you just have to be cognizant of what to look for and what makes an offer good. One of the biggest things that we see is substandard lenders putting in offers. I shouldn't say substandard. I don't know that the lender organization is substandard, but sometimes the agent or the loan originator is substandard, and we get really weak pre-approvals. That's a huge thing. Pre-approvals are interesting because I always tell my new buyers it takes a little while to get through the pre-approval process. So I always tell my buyers, like, make sure you give it some time, first of all, so that you have time to get a pre-approval before we put an offer in. But also, I want to make sure, while a buyer can use whoever they want, I make sure that they're aware of what my experience has been with that lender. And I'll give you a few examples. I mean, I had a home here in Hunterdon County that was supposed to close about 6 months ago. And as the closing date was approaching, and we do as much due diligence as we can on these offers, but as the closing date was approaching, we weren't hearing anything from the lender. And finally, I finally got a hold of the lender, which I had to do in a very roundabout way to get him on the phone. And I said, "Hey, what's going on? We're supposed to close 2 weeks ago. We still haven't heard anything. We haven't seen any paperwork." And just kind of kept stringing me along. And come to find out that the mortgage got rejected. I'm going to grab a drink here. The mortgage got rejected, and it's just a non-alcoholic drink, Diet Coke. The loan got rejected based on credit scores, which is not something that you would expect after closing. I mean, obviously, the credit score thing should have been handled way up front before a letter was ever issued, for sure. And that kind of thing happens all the time. And in this particular situation, it was a listing that we just didn't have a lot of action on. We didn't have a lot of options. In a multi-offer situation, that offer almost never would have been accepted. But when you only have one, there's only so much you can do to vet it, and we did our best. But we can't. We only have so much access. It's the relationship is between the lender and the buyer. If I'm on the seller side, I don't really have a right to dig in too deep. So we do what we can to vet that. Actually, Movement Mortgage, Joe and Jeff that were on last week, they actually provide a good letter for us agents of checking out how strong a pre-approval is. And there's a lot of situations where we actually call the buyers on our listings, the buyers' lenders. A lot of people are smart and they put that in their offer. Please feel free to call my lender and let them know. They can talk to you about how qualified my clients are. It's a great practice because it gives us a lot of confidence in the offer. But this is why cash offers are king, because we don't have to deal with any of this. So, it's realtors benefited for many years from just a super active market. There were just a ton of transactions. So, I mean, if there's X amount of, let's say there's 100 realtors in a county, there's obviously way more than 100 in a county. Let's say there's 1,000 realtors in a county, and in that given year in that county, there's going to be I don't know, 10,000 transactions. That means, divide it out. That's 10 transactions per realtor. But it's not like that anymore. There's just less deals, same amount of realtors. So there's only so much to go around. So, what we're seeing a lot of is, you're not necessarily just your part-time realtors, but also just your less active realtors. The people that are trying to do this at a high level, like I do, this is my career and my life and my business. And, I'm trying to do as well as I can for my family. But the percentage of realtors that are trying to produce at that level and do this as a, full-fledged career and trying to make a decent living doing it, is a very small percentage of total realtors, because it just is an industry that's prone to a lot of people doing it as a side hustle or just kind of a one-off kind of thing. There's plenty of realtors that sell one or two a year just because they wait for their friends to be, in the market. And then, that friend is like, oh, my friend is a realtor, so I'll just use that person. The problem with that, especially in this market, is in order to navigate this market, you just have to kind of be out there every day in the trenches, because things are just constantly changing. Regulations change, um, things to watch out for, and trends and all that stuff. It's hard to keep abreast of that if you're not as active. If you're doing 25 to 30 a year, like those of us who I would deem producers or more, then you have obviously you're an expert. I mean, you have a lot better idea of what's going on. It's two a month, for an extended amount of time. You're going to have a very good idea of how to navigate this market. So anyway, I started putting together a video promo. I put this out there on Facebook and YouTube last night. So this is a new ad that I'll be running. You may see it on Facebook. And this kind of is like 4 minutes that just encapsulates what I do on the listing side. I truly believe, this is not a hyperbolic statement, I truly believe that my offerings on the listing side of things are best in class. And that's a process that's evolved over the past 3 years. Actually, it's really interesting to me because, thinking back to the first year of my career, which was, relatively speaking, not that long ago, a little over 3 years ago. I started in January of 2019. And, when that first year, I had a few clients that used me, really put a lot of faith in me for not a whole lot of reason. I just didn't have much experience at that point. And I know they met me and they trusted me as far as, all right, well, this guy's professional and he's he's not a total dimwit or anything. He appears to know what he's doing. He has a team behind him. The other agents here that were helping me get up to speed. So those people put some faith in me and let me do my thing. And there's a few specifically. There's like a handful of clients in that first year that I'm super thankful of, because without that I was full-time my first year for probably about 7 months. And it came on very suddenly. I wasn't expecting it. But prior to that 7 months, I had one transaction. And then I went full-time. And then I had that first year, I think I had like 8 or 9 more transactions. Let me see if I have it up here. I can just tell you. So yeah, my first year, I had a rental only, let's see. Yeah, so I had 12 transactions that first year, and a couple of those were split with another agent. So let's call it 10. So there's a handful of people in that first year that really kind of put their faith in me and helped me get started. A few of them that are still in touch with. In fact, one of them I'm helping with their commercial property right now, which has not been an easy transaction. I think, and I hope they would be the first to tell you that, I've gone above and beyond throughout the process of trying to sell, kind of a difficult property. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just that, especially with commercial properties, it's just a very different market. And there's a lot of different layers and challenges to it. And it's not as easy to find a buyer. You just don't have as many people looking for a commercial property as opposed to a house, obviously. So, I know they know how hard I worked to get the offer, but then once the offer came in place, we've just had a number of challenges. It's not an easy process, and we're still working through it. But those are people that I met my first year. I sold one home and bought another one for them in that first year. And here they are back for their third transaction. I hope they'll be back for their fourth when they need me. And a couple other people that I worked with that first year that were just super helpful. I'm very curious though, because if those people saw what my process is nowadays and the way that the entire process goes, it's very different. So I just think they would be impressed. I actually plan to send them this video and say, man, things sure have changed in a few years. Because I didn't have as robust an offering. I hadn't selected my vendors. Everything has been so refined over the past 3 years. So I'm actually going to play the video now as part of this. And anyone that's watching, I see a few people watching. Please feel free to leave any comments with any questions, any sort of real estate question whatsoever. I'll let the video play. Please feel free to watch it and enjoy. And if you stick with me through that, please feel free to ask me any questions. Also, feel free to leave any comments on the video. I'm happy to hear from everyone. But this will be running as an ad on Facebook, hopefully starting soon. It's a little complicated with housing ads on Facebook. That's a whole nother subject. But ironically, what you'll see in this video is that I say we, it's me. I am using Facebook ads quite a bit to market your house. I'm also using Facebook ads to market myself. And anything around housing on Facebook ads is actually quite complicated. So I've refined that process into something that has been very effective. My last two properties I've sold, the commercial property I just mentioned and a 55 plus that we sold last weekend, were the Facebook ads were huge in getting them sold. Otherwise, they might not have been sold. It's something that I don't know of a single local realtor that's doing anything like this. I'm not even aware of anyone in New Jersey that's doing this. There are forms of this at the national level. I am, very tied into several online communities as it relates to real estate and kind of, leveling up and using cutting edge technology. There's a lot of Reddit threads and Facebook groups and everything else of agents that do some form of this. So it's not like 100% original idea. It's just that I've kind of made it my own. And, once I kind of got it up and running, then it was a matter of refining, and that's all been done on my own, not so much with, the help of all those online groups I just mentioned. But anyway, I'm going to play the video now and hope you enjoy. It's about a little under 4 minutes long. And if you're still here, please feel free to leave any comments or any questions you might have. And I will be watching the video along with you. All right, so here we go. Listing your home these days calls for a deliberate strategy. Don't be influenced by the everything will sell in this market narrative. Even in the most robust markets, a proper marketing plan is second to none in terms of fetching the most money for your home. Even if your home is All right, so it looks like we hit a little bit of a technical glitch there. I don't know why. Let's see if I can figure this out in real time. It's something to do with how I'm playing it. Let's see here. Yeah, so there's actually another way I can do this. So I'm going to, let's try this again. While I'm setting that up, I'll keep talking. But, I'm curious to hear from people. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had 7% rates, so I'm interested to hear what concerns people might have. I think the general thing you're going to hear from lenders and from agents and everything else is, which I believe to be true. I mean, if you're financially conservative, this is going to be really hard to swallow. But I think what most of us would tell you is, do what you need to do the move you need to do. If you're upgrading your house, if you're downgrading your house, whatever it is, don't worry about the 7%. Do your move, and then sometime down the line refinance. Now, if you're a financially conservative person by nature, that's going to be really tough to swallow. But if you need to do something, you need to do it. I've always kind of, lived by that kind of psyche when it comes to finances. Like if I've decided this is the right move for me or my family or whatever it is, I don't mind getting creative with the financing. But I think generally speaking, that's what you're going to hear from people. But that's obviously going to tamp the market down. So when we tamp the market down, obviously that's going to hurt sellers. But in this case, because the inventory is so low, we're really just not seeing that result. And I just gave you my two recent examples. So, all right, let's try this video this way. All right, let's try this again. Here we go. I got to rearrange my real estate on my screen here. Okay, I got so many screens here. That's why it looks like I'm looking off into the distance. Boy, this does not make for really captivating broadcasting. So, all right. So I'm going to share this with you now. And let's give this another shot. Okay. Here we go. Let's try again. I hope that audio is coming through.
Listing your home these days calls for a deliberate strategy. Don't Every listing includes a complimentary staging consultation that will have you walking away with an action item list on how to prepare your home for photo day. You can be sure that your home is looking at its best before the videographers even arrive. Each listing includes a virtual tour that allows buyers to get a feel for the layout and flow of your home. I include floor plans that are digitally created using the virtual tour software. This ensures that only the most serious buyers feel the need to step foot in your house with an informed understanding of what they're walking into. The virtual tour is then posted to both the local MLS as well as the Zillow website and app for both buying agents and potential buyers to see. I use the best technology available to ensure that you are.
All right. So I'm not going to let that play all the way through. I'm actually not even sure the audio is coming through. I think it's actually just coming through my mic. But anyway, you get the point. So that video is up on YouTube. It's also on Facebook. It's on any of my Facebook pages. And when I say any, I mean my personal or my business page. So find me on Facebook. It's there. You can also go on my YouTube channel and check that video out. You know, if you're a past client or your friend, please feel free to share it to your friends. I mean, honestly, from talking as a realtor standpoint, someone, you know, I got a family to feed and whatnot. It's not easy out now, so any help I can get in getting listings, obviously, listings are the way to go this time, this type of market, because it's just it's much easier to sell a house these days than it is to buy one from an agent standpoint. Because you know, every time I write an offer and that offer doesn't get accepted, I'm working for free. Generally with the listings nowadays, they're going to sell. So, you know, along those lines of kind of us always kind of hoping to be leaning on the listing side of the business, this is kind of how I developed a very, very specific way of selling homes. So video marketing is definitely a heavily used. Paid advertising, which it's a very good chance if you're friends with me, you see my ads. That's not coincidence, obviously. That's how Facebook algorithms work. And if you see those ads, you'll know that there's a lot of them. So we budget, I keep saying we, it's just me. I budget about 22 to 2,500 a month in digital advertising. It's not a small amount of money, but it's extremely successful. So I get a lot of clients that way. We sell a lot of homes that way. We promote open houses that way. So and like I said, I mean, there's not a whole lot of people doing that at a high level um, in this area. There are people that do it nationally, but there are not people that do it in this area. So it's huge. It's this conversation about, like I just said, it is easier to sell a house than buy a house in this market for me as a realtor. But the talking point that we hear a lot, which is a really big mistake, is saying that, oh, I'm not worried about marketing the house. I know in this market every house is going to sell, and it's simply not that. It's not like that. If I could tell you the number of homes that I've sold over the past 2 years to people that really didn't know a whole lot about Hunterdon County, um, they're open to the idea of Hunterdon County, but they don't know Hunterdon County, and that's a lot of people. So in those cases, the video ads and the Facebook advertising is successful because they see the house first. And if they see the house first and it's something that would work for them, and then they see the price, Hunterdon County pricing is, relative to moving east of here or south or north, not necessarily west. That would be getting into PA, and obviously that's a little bit cheaper. But people see the houses that are available and they see the price point on them, and then they think, maybe I could make that work because I love that house. Definitely couldn't pay for that here and wherever they are, Somerset, Middlesex, Union, whatever it may be. And once they see the house here, they're like, maybe I should be doing Hunterdon County. And then over the last 2 years, everyone's commute changed. And next thing you know, we have a lot of people coming to Hunterdon that weren't from here. Now, listen, most of our parents weren't from here. I know there's some OG Hunterdon folks still around. And I say OG, I mean like prior to like 1970 when my parents moved here. But this was a small town America in 1970. It's not like it is now. So Hunterdon County, the secret's out for the most part, but there's still a requirement that you showcase it to get people to purchase your house. And listen, that brings up another point of people complaining how things are changing because all these people from out of the area are moving into the area. I mean, I that's not something that would ever come out of my mouth, first of all. But here's the thing, like a place like Hunterdon County, it's a great place. I've lived here all my life. I don't really intend to go anywhere anytime soon. But there are things about Hunterdon County that are not like the surrounding areas. I'll say one right off the top is just the food selection. If you're looking for takeout food or a restaurant, there's some tired choices around here for sure. It's not a super diverse food area, but over the last few years, it's really expanded, and that's not a coincidence. It's because of the new people moving into the area. We also just need new money. I mean, there's as an aging population in this area. That aging population doesn't have a ton of places to go because there really isn't a lot of 55 plus housing in the area. I mean, the only two places that really come to mind are Four Seasons, where I just sold a unit in Reddington. Relatively small place. There's only about 98 units in there. And then the newer construction up in Washington area, right by Hawk Point. Same kind of price points as Four Seasons, maybe even slightly higher, new construction. But, that's a lot of, 55 plus people are not able to afford, 550 and up for, their retirement home. So, it's the secret is out on Hunterdon. I think that's a good thing. I think new ideas, new money, new generations are a good thing. All the people that I've moved into this area are really good people, and they love it here. They quickly fall in love. And, thinking back even further, the people that I know that moved here 5-6 years ago before I was an agent, local businesses that I know, were new to the area within a decade. They love it here. They absolutely love it here. This feels like their home now. So, I think a lot of people maybe more in the rural areas of Hunterdon County get caught up on this idea that, we're being invaded by, the popular talking points of New Yorkers or city folk or whatever it is. It's really easy to just throw a label on that. But the reality of it is, those are my clients. They're really good people, and they want they want a nice area to live in too, and they want to continue to keep it nice. They're not trying to come here and bring any crazy ideas or anything. So but that's life. I mean, you hear that talking point from everywhere. The other thing that's really funny for locals is that everyone moves here because they think it's low taxes, and relatively speaking to the rest of New Jersey, we're not bad on the taxes, but I don't think anyone that's lived here all their life would ever say we have low taxes, because it's New Jersey. There's just, property taxes are expensive. But surrounding areas, they're worse. I live in Pittstown. I mean, I think Pittstown's a great value tax wise, relatively speaking. It still hurts to pay, we're like $1,000 a month in property tax. It's not cheap. But I'll take it. It's better than, say, Union County, which, is almost double that. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, my only ask of everyone is, if you see my video out there, please share it, or if you want to proactively go to my page and grab that ad and share it to your Facebook crew. That's huge. I started running this yesterday, not on the paid ad, but I just posted it up on my page. The paid ad is actually in review. It's taking forever. It's really hard to run housing ads because of Facebook's advertising policies, so it was delayed. But as of right now, 360 people have watched it. It's been up for probably about 16 hours or so. So that's pretty good. It's it's in good shape. So if you see that, please share it. And that's pretty much it for this week. I don't have a whole lot to say. It's been a busy week for me in terms of just doing my day-to-day work. So I don't have a whole lot of new things to report, because I've really been kind of running around and, getting listings ready, and working on this commercial property that I'm trying to close. And it's been more of a busy week than like sit back and be insightful about what I'm going to put on my podcast. We do have some guests coming up. I actually was supposed to have a guest today, but she had a last minute commitment to take care of, so we will have her back in a future week. I do have one lined up for next week. I haven't confirmed with him yet, but he is a very, very big investor, mostly single family homes, and a balance of flipping and buying and holding. So we will talk with him about that. Fascinating guy, producing at an extremely high level. Not from this area. I thought it would be interesting to hear from him. Again, another guy that I met in one of the online communities that I'm a part of. And so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And that should be next week. Other than that, as always, if you have any questions, you need any help, give me a call, message me, text me, email me, whatever it may be. My contact information is everywhere. And I hope you're all having a good Friday. And I will see you all soon. Have a good weekend.